remember, nuclear is an N word. There's like negativity or narcissism or nebbish. There's a lot of, if you look in the dictionary, all these N words gathered together under one section. So there's something called S words because section is an S word. But you can mispronounce it phonetically or phonetically, you know, as swords. You ever think about the pronunciation of swords? It's a S words. That's simple to me. I'm from a third world country called the Philippines. Even in Comptown, they had to do a mention. It's like, like there's some Filipino food. What's that food called? Lumpia. It's like, hey, it's just like, pigs in a blanket with veggies. And then I was watching this, coming of age story in the hood. Usually it's like Michelle Pfeiffer, but then apparently dudes are also substitute teachers in the hood. So it's like you got to be Marine trained or military trained, you know. And it's just you against a hostile audience, which is how I feel right now. But on this education whatever, I'm not a military trained guy, or I'm not Michelle Pfeiffer, really like tough as nails. I'm just a guy like you, regular guy, people. It's like basically I'm more afraid of the end of the month than the end of the world because from June something to July, there's a holiday right after July 4th, America's birthday. And if America asks you, like all of America says, what did you get for me on my birthday? And you ain't rich, they're probably gonna kill you. And a lot of people have already died. Here's one thing I say to myself all the time. They can only, or you can only, kill me once. I wish I could just, give. Hey, it's the Social Security Administration office. All right, and I'm here in Manhattan, melting. Basically, the word is melting. A lot of you have made what I call chocolate Jesuses. It's like basically like lost wax casting, and you had the bright idea of making like an edible crucifix made out of chocolate. I don't see it very often in Easter, but if you're munching away on a chocolate crucifix, I'm pretty sure that you are ready for mocking Jesus Christ. There's nothing more disrespectful to my mind, and it's the impudence, the insolence, and all that. It's like our Lord died on the cross, but you really like chocolate more than salvation, which is fine. I've eaten a lot of chocolate. However, if you eat too much chocolate, you get a tummy ache. Imagine that compounded a trillion times for blaspheming our Lord and Redeemer, Jesus Christ. You know? That is loads or heaps more. And I'm glad all of you are embarrassed. Even Trump said, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. It's more of like a realization that, you two are fighting for no reason. One of you is going to misunderstand the other's advances for peace. There's a Gary Larson Far Side cartoon or like one panel comic, and aliens from outer space we come in peace, but they're shaped like forearms and hands. So the instinctual friendly nature of the human being with two hands grabs the head of the leader and shakes it violently. Now, if someone grabbed my head and shook it violently, I'd probably be like, go ahead and snap my neck. But that's me. I'm assuming like I'm outweighed by 100 pounds, and then they have had military training. How could I possibly resist that? I could get impaled by a knife. My teeth are rotting. I have a headache. I haven't slept more than 2 hours. So I'm pretty weak. This makes my God strong, of course. When I'm at my weakest, my God is probably the strongest God of all time. If you read The Neighbor, which is like the New American Revised Bible Edition, even Kimash and Ammon, which are names of like deities outside of God, he's like if he didn't want to defeat them, he just exiled them. You know what exile means? Basically, you strip them of all their power. In human cases, clothes. Like, and then I just removed his clothes. If he's so good, he'll make it and get new clothes, and he'll get resituated from scratch. Same thing with deities. My God is so strong. You probably exiled all the other gods. It's like I didn't hurt you. I just removed the clothing. You're how you were before. And if you're so much better than me, the question is zero. How did I do all that? And one, show me. Okay? This is based on that movie, A Knight's Tale. I don't even advertise my stream. It's pretty much you only show up in here if I want to yell at you. And I have no energy left at all. Anything like basically Moses said, I can't rule all of Israel, so I'm going to train a few, and any questions come to me. Of course, in the beginning, there were a lot of questions, like why are there only 5 of us helping you rule? Well, then do what I did and recruit 5 more. Soon you had a hierarchy. The problem is the worship of a god becomes more important than the god. Terry Pratchett spoke of this in Small Gods. Again, I do all these references from books I've read. I'm not going to quote to you like, secret military-based documents. I haven't read them. Don't need to. I presume you all know your business. So when Donald Trump says these two don't know what the fuck they're doing, I tend to believe him. One, he's been elected 2 times. He's defeated bankruptcy. He's run circles around people logically, and he's probably not that smart. Imagine he was smarter. Imagine losing to a 2 IQ nitwit like Donald Trump. And that's him intentionally. Maybe I'm a little smarter than all the rest, but I'm just going to assume I'm going to beat you with 2 IQ for the lols. So if Mr. Trump is watching this, I agree with you. These two don't know what the fuck they're doing. In fact, I'm hoping you're going to say that about me and my brother. Because, he's probably independent. I'm a Republican. We need leadership in America. I, for one, am glad about all this stupidity and chaos and incompetence. I don't know what the fuck you're doing or what I'm doing with my brother. How about a little help? You have more than 2 kids. So if you're going to treat Israel and Iran or the Middle East like 2 kids fighting, hey, you've raised more kids than me. I have 0 kids. This is a message to Mr. Trump. Unlike Golden Man, who's like, showing off his whoa and fire, and then he's getting kicked out of his apartment. Like, I've done all I can to make rent. Now they're taking away people's Section 8. I've had to make do with this one as my son. He only makes one noise unless I go. The finesse of using one of these. And you can buy these at CVS, less than $20, after tariffs. So it's about 12 o'clock at noon, high noon. And I see a lone pigeon sweltering in the heat. Do you know how hot the pavement is? These birds are walking on their feet, looking for something on the floor, pecking. It's insane. And then this one just boxes me in. But that's all right. I'm looking at all these people with no shoes, and then it's just like that. Like, if I was a troll and I had a throwaway car where all the windshields were broken, oh God, I feel so bad for this pigeon. Come here, pigeon. You need food, I feel so bad. Like my wife says, Nate, I feel so bad that all these people are attacking me. I know the feeling. So I have two of these, what do you call maho? But it's actually sponge cake, which really doesn't deserve, like, floss pork. You know what I mean? And it's just like, should I back up? I will, eventually. I'm not in the mood to kind of back up. Hi, buddy. You were promised food, and you're gonna get it. I promised you food, and you're gonna eat it. It's yours. It's your food. Go. I'm not gonna go after you. For someone who braves the desert sands, imagine like traveling all the way and then it's like, oh my God, do you have anything to eat? Of course I do. I wouldn't walk on the street floor unless like for my wife or my kids. But here's this bird trying to find something that God wants. I honor his sacrifice. I mean, God can kill me, but it's like, listen, I'm a human. I have a brain. I know when I'm being fucked with. You want me to do what? You want me to walk barefoot on the hot Manhattan floor, pecking at shit. I rank really low on God's creation scale. A lot of times God asks you to do things just to test your brain power. But I look at all these helpless birds. It's like their natural instinct is to get rid of all these worms. Occasionally, I have the opportunity to feed them. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd rather give them the opportunity to eat my food. You know? It's dangerous, but they need a reward. It's very dangerous. So that's why I'm going to throw this thing all the way over there. It's safer over there. I know it's hot. I'm sorry. It's just, it might cauterize your foot. I just don't want you getting hurt. You know what I mean? I hope history judges me harshly. Like, why didn't you put it in your jacket or your car? It's a bird. It probably has all sorts of STDs. That's why like God gave me 2 arms and a brain. I can't feed my son because he has no stomach or instinct. He's made out of rubber or plastic. He has a little voice box and he just uses the air and makes a rah noise. At first I was laughing, but then I realized he's needy. This is called maho sponge cake that I was talking about. So when it's like that, like Uber has all these plans. I'd love to give this bird some water. You know, it must be really hot, but I asked God to turn all this heat into like dew. Because in the Bible, like Nebuchadnezzar made a furnace 7 times hotter than normal. That's called exaggeration because he was so angry. But God sent an angel of the Lord to turn all the heat into dew, which is refreshing and misty. So I'm hoping, just like, when goats get picked up by eagles, they faint so that when they hit the ground, they're not aware of it. Similarly, for this thing, I know it's scorching hot on that metal thing, but I want this pigeon to endure, just like the champion, Jesus Christ. Doing his work, pecking, and having a little bit of the sweet alongside the torture. With my dad, the restoration of privileges. I need this for now. You can charge your phone now. That's all I get. And then with Tita Laura, it's like, you know, like you sure you don't want to join us for this meeting or eat? No, I'm better in the car. I'm always in the kitchen, just moping. And I'm looking at this pigeon. It's like he wants to fuck more than eat. Now at least you're not alone. It's just like seeing like my mom, you know, miserable. It's like there's a lot of backstory behind my life. I was like, you know, anything I can do. I'm hoping when my mom is in need, people like God help. You know, if God can help the fucking goats, okay, then God can help the pigeons. I'm not God. You know, if I was God, no, there would be no suffering. I'd be dead. I'd be like, I take all the suffering into myself and then die. That's the easiest way. But you know, in this world, people strive. And if it's too hot, they'll go on a very cool surface and cool their feet. Me, when I was walking, I saw the hydrant thing, and I felt like this is like Bronx water. It was so cool and refreshing. That's my prayer, you know. Even through the hardship, there must be a reason. For example, the formation of the Internal Revenue Service. You know? If they have parasites in their body, like sometimes it's not you talking. I saw that in Futurama about the sandwich. And Fry was able to sing and court and romance Neela, but then, you know, it's due to the microbes in the sandwich. They have a civilization, and then, you know, they're so happy to be alive that he was able to sing. Now, when I throw food on the floor, and you're supposedly homeless and hungry, some people can eat shit off the floor. But then, you know, the brain kicks in. It's like I can beg people for McDonald's, you know, or ask people for $20, knowing that they think like it's going for drugs. I just want to feel something to get rid of the woes. And they quote Bible thinking it'll get them $20. What it'll get them is $20 worth of no denied. I have different levels of no denied. You know, in light of being a trillionaire, no denied. There's a little bit of harmonic shift there. But for $20, you value yourself far too low. No. I won't even do the full denies. No. I've been told no denied by all sorts of people. I know the difference. We can use other words, of course, like no, forbidden, no, irrelevant. But denied is very, very final to me. No? I'm just gonna pretend this water bottle is me. It says Poland Spring, but I'm gonna write Nathan Mendez on it. NATHANMENDEZ. You know, just like you can edit out celebrities. So this used to say Poland Spring. Now it says Nathan Mendez. And if I was a blood-sucking vampire, basically the procedure is rip off somebody's head, the jugular is there, and sip. But since I can bodily pick up this thing, like gravity does all the work. Never really seen a vampire gargle blood, but I've never seen that. I've seen like Leslie Nielsen, Dracula, Interview with a Vampire. What else? Many vampire movies like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Never seen like blood. You know, me if I'm like attacking human me and I'm the big bad vampire, like might be useful later. You know, I could always pee in this bottle. That's another thing. You never see a vampire pee on a human. There's a lot of missing links here, which is why if this was a vampire, you know, I guess like if this was a vampire sucking all my blood, you know, doesn't he look exactly like me? Of course, this could be a sign of deteriorating brain and mental illness, but at this point, what does it matter? Just like Madam Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton said, she's. I can't believe I'm quoting her, but you're a Secretary of State. The work. This could be Madam Secretary. You couldn't even tell. My previous things is like I'm gonna throttle all of you, but this is a submission toy. A dog chews this and makes a noise. Well, hello there, chatter. You should leave. Any reason while you're slumming here before Trump destroys us all? Oh, hello, Nigerian. You're one of the few who like to do the N-word towers, even when it's out of style. I like that. You're keeping the tradition up. Even though you don't need to do it. On other chats, I'm sure you do it. So, do you want to feel like this is my son? He says so. This is your Uncle Noah. He's Nigerian. That word again is Nigerian. It's like Dustin Nguyen from 21 Jump Street. And he's polite enough to say hello. So, my son, say hi to your Uncle Noah. That means where are all my fucking presents, you deadbeat? Anything I can do you for? Are you day drinking, bro? My dad gave me this. I'm driving. This is a hard seltzer. He's like, no, it's just water. I'm like, okay, Dad. This is pretty clean alcohol. Pretty sure. According to the Surgeon General, women should not drink alcoholic beverages. Well, you're not much of a talker. You can do an N-word tower because I know you like those things. You know what? I'm gonna help you. Oh, good, he's gone. It's not like I appreciate people. Nate Mendez is streaming. Not really. I'm just waiting for death. And that's hard because I'm dead. My God, I'm so tired and exhausted and sleepy. I'm so used to being gray text. Oh, God. Let's see if I can add keep current selection. This is my new background. Basically, there's this place I visit called Lunatic Outpost, and they were doing a Jennifer Lawrence appreciation thread. And in that thread, they disclose a little bit. In all those Diddy parties, there's something called red door, green door. If you walk away from both of them, you get targeted by Hollywood. And apparently that's what she did. And I'm looking, and it's like her best roles were pretty much Red Sparrow, the Hunger Games franchise, and like that odd movie where she was somebody's sex slave. So all of them were great. If that's what being targeted by Hollywood means, I think it backfired. You know, people like to see a scrappy young actress, despite all the things, and they're like, even Jack Nicholson was like, "I'm going to targetedly harass you during interview," and she was so grateful. Oh my God, I was like gang stalked by Jack Nicholson. Like that shit, in public. He touched my elbow. He could have slapped my ass. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of gratitude. And in gratitude, X was able to produce something. I can show you this, I guess. Hey, Johnny. So you guys want to see some next mayor of New York City content? I need this to be unanimous. You know. If you guys do come back, I have a very nice surprise for you. I'll continue. Nate, the next mayor of New York City, make those smiling cheeks clap. So this is my new PFP because Sabrina is like there's a discrimination against people with fake PFPs, anime. So I said mostly I just wander around, and then in New York City they have these figurine stores and things of that nature. And then one of them has a straw hat and he's wearing sandals. It's pretty much what you would imagine Filipinos are, except I look like a Mexican contractor. So, too bad for those who are impatient with perfection. When I make spaghetti, I reduce the sauce. And it's like, what's taking so long? Well, you can just order Jollibee. When I make spaghetti for myself or my loved ones, I make sure it tastes good to me before I don't care if you taste good to you. If you want to be like me or just understand my mindset, this is what makes me tick. I'm just glad the thing. So, pin message. It's pretty much boring playing video games all day. My video game happens to be X. Originally, I wanted to make a video game called Priest Fighter, where basically it's just like Street Fighter, but people of all faiths and religions would fight. And yeah, I've seen the one that Johnny recommended. It's okay, but like from all the reviews, it's like when Jesus Christ does a block, it's overpowered. So what are you gonna do? So if anybody comes back, I have a surprise. But if you're so easily weeded like Gideon, if there's somebody in here, which I doubt. Oh, hello, you are here. Whoever you are, I'm hoping is Raptor Johnny or even Seaman, the Blade Master. Like, I just realized I know who Brooklyn is. Funny how that works. So, if you look at the thing, this will attract maybe some people, the anime people. But if you're lost, I redirect you to the Bus Nubo chatterbox. You know, it's far more interesting when there's a lot of gay men, like 700, and there's 12 regulars. You just shuttle in and out, just like the Daily Show or the Tonight Show. There's the main cast of people who are paid to talk, and then you're just the appreciative audience. Maybe you want to participate, maybe you don't. The majority come in, wow, what an experience, and then they move on to the next thing that catches their eye. And the regulars, like, that's their thing. They could have moved on, but they decided to stay and improve the show. So, that's what I call remnant. I don't know, like, pretty much the bust concept is immortal. I've been through so many places that are transient. easily destroyed because they are built on the rules of order. It's like we expect all of you will follow the rules, and they're shocked that people break all the rules. Whereas, like in some places, you expect chaos, and you're pleasantly surprised that there's less chaos than advertised. The people who are most chaotic eventually organize into society, and you're just like, well, what happened? Yesterday, you guys were all chaotic. Today, you have a washing machine. How'd that happen? That's the most chaotic thing. Like, a bunch of chaotic, evil warriors just like, hey, let's make a society. All right, I'll just observe. Like, what to the watcher. So that's good. Like, I did.
Hey, park mo na yung kotse.
Okay.
Then you can go back to the office.
All right. Okay.
I'm very tired.
Yeah, me too.
Ayaw.
Bye, tita. So, mostly for the young ones. Like, if you haven't been to the bust, I recommend it. You know? It's not like I make any money off of it. As a Catholic and a true practicing Catholic, the second I experience personal gain, I lose it all. Just like Louis C.K. said. And somebody's back. Hello. So if you're anybody I know, I have a surprise for you. You know, you're a veteran and you deserve something better. But if you're all new to the Come Town, kindly click the link, and there you go. You know, I don't mind being the lobby for the entrance to Disneyland. Like, I know you. There are more rides than talking to Nate Mendez. Have a great time. Don't get hurt. That's pretty much my entire message. And my son just fell. Luckily, even if I drop him off the Empire State Building, he's a rubber chicken. You know? Can't really hurt a rubber chicken. Makes a noise, as expected. I prayed to God, like as a Catholic, God, give me the strongest, most invulnerable son of all time. He gave me a chicken from CVS. And at that point, is like, yeah, I love my God, no matter what. But, I don't really notice if people do hearts or something, like on Twitch. I really am not a good Twitch streamer. You know, I don't want to, like, hit stuff. When you're driving, it's very important to be, like, generous to the bicyclists. I know I rail against a lot of bicyclists, but, I used to ride bikes in Montana. I got up to the point where I could stand on the body, you know? But if you're new to the Come Town or the Bus Nouveau or Rapture Johnny, kindly click the link. Make sure you have premium and he makes money. They fall for it every time. What the fuck is this? And then the answer is like, these people are insane. Just like I did. And many times you go into something like the Bust Original, and it's like there's a guy, a schizo guy, just talking to himself in the corner. And then I look at him, it's like, sounds like fun. What are you just repeating one word paragraphs from the Bible or a dictionary? I could do better than that. And I've slowly maybe brought civilization to the place where it's not supposed to be civilized. You know? It's 1 o'clock. People are hard to work. People don't care. Just like, on in Amazon or something, it's like Iran just bombed Israel. How am I supposed to do work? Simple. You think about all the things that are going to kill you if you don't. And now my orientation is locked. You know? I got a like for some reason. And now I can't exit out. Well, that's what lock means. That's what lock is all about. Have you read lock? Like dreadlocks? Maybe you're all Jamaican. Hey man, all the things on the beach. B-boy. Everything Irie. And now is that, you know? So obviously, orientation is locked. I don't know how to fucking do this. Like unlock, orientation lock. There we go. And we fixed that. You know, thank you for the like. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And to all your friends, if you're Jennifer Lawrence, hi, I'm a big fan. You just, you know, I was surprised when you did that sex slave thing, but I figured you earned that. You really made it sexy for a lot of young men. You're like the Madonna, you know? Except, of course, you're a Hollywood witch, but hey, you know, you can't get it all. You know, if I never meet Jennifer Lawrence, it's just like, I know her presence is kind of manic. I may have met her in like some very clever camouflage, but when anybody here, probably not, only me. Usually you have that. It's just like you switch over to another stream. Hey guys, I'm live. Want to come in and hang out? Blah, blah, blah. Okay? So, you know, it's like say something in the chat if you want to see an exclusive photo never before seen, and it's sexy in ways quite unlike as ever before. But I gotta know that you're interested, you know? And you're a buster. Because this is an exclusive busters only. Yeah. If you don't know the Cumtown jokes, it's just, hey Tom, I'm glad it's you. Here you go, buddy. All right, have a great time with that one. Do you know her? It's all fake. You gotta believe me, you know? It's not like I was in the room with her taking that photo. Oh, some nobody, you know? Like she has aspirations of being an actress or something. Nobody you know. But take a screenshot and maybe, you know, like do, show it to the guys on Discord or whatever. Since you're the only one here, you get exclusive rights to disseminating this photo because you're like an older brother to me. It's like, you know, I found a stash of candy, but you know I'm diabetic, so you know you can have it. These are the kind of things I do for family. And you know, like I don't really know you that much, but before you were like kind of like zoomed in on the screen, and then I noticed you were talking about like morning sex. And then there's a dragonfly about to eat me. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the way. You can screenshot and zoom in, you know? Oh, hi, JK. Here you're still a mod. Do you reckon Tom doesn't know who that is at all? Maybe he can help a fellow buster out. You know, that's the part of the, like, you know, making a very boring stream. You bore people into drifting and then, like, they don't expect anything good. Ah, looks like you're more interested in regaining mod. Can I tell you something, JK, in all seriousness? Okay, you gotta consider your audience. Some people have very ugly trauma. So what is an innocent song lyric to you is utterly meaningful to them. You don't know Raptor Johnny's life. Okay? He could have had an uncle who crashed in a jumbo jet. You don't know that shit. So what's funny to you is just a riff. Some people get offended. And when they get offended and they're your boss, take away your privileges. And you'll try to like say, I was just kidding. Yeah, you should know me better by now. Some things I don't joke about. No. I know, I've been there. You know, it's just joke. And then you see Joe Smith, like I'll just charisma him, and I got my mod back. I'll tell you a little part about me. My mom had when she was alive, had best friend, and you know she slipped into a coma. Okay, and most times, like with blood clots, people don't wake up, but she did. And then when my mom developed two forms of cancer, endometrial and breast cancer, I thought God would do me the similar favor, and so did my mom. It's just, you brought somebody out of a coma. This is just cancer. And then my mom passed away. I learned there that it's better, like, the black people to steal a bike and beg for forgiveness rather than ask for one and wait. Yeah, I'm sure. That means something to you. To Johnny, is a trigger point. Okay? Even if like he will make a really big thing for you to do. Sometimes people do that on purpose, like Tony Soprano. It's like, hey Chrissy, I found out who killed your dad. It's like it doesn't matter, Tone, because you have your own agenda. You understand? You gotta think, buddy. All due respect. You live in fucking Jackson Heights now. You gotta rep my neighborhood. Think smarter. Before you write anything else in Johnny's chat, put it in a notepad or something and say, is this the stupidest bullshit I could ever write to offend a fellow human being? Because I'm not fucking thinking. Okay? I rarely use this tone. Sorry, Tom. Normally, as the elder spokesman, statesman, you're the one supposed to be doing all this. You know? If somebody in the shop, like, discloses how people really make money in the shop, there would be a discussion. So, consider yourself chastised by me. You fuck up again and lose mud, don't come crying to me. I'll talk to Johnny for you. But just like Tony Soprano and, the cook is like, it's a slim chance. I'll ask Mr. Gandolfini to help me with the words. James, it's me. Yeah, I know, it's a dumb move. People just don't think. And I got triggered like that with my wife and my dad. And I blew up something awful. Yes, fuck. James said, let him burn. I'm sorry, JK. Mr. Gandolfini don't normally say that shit, but like upon review of all the things, your parole has been denied. You should try to find another chat and chill. You know, the animosity that came out of it. Maybe Johnny will come up with a mission like, assassinate Trump. If you're successful, then you're back in. Yeah? What does that mean? Are you practicing like being an asshole to all? Because one, I could like that. Say all that shit again. I mean, you want to go for Yeah, why did? How you doing, Brooklyn? Listen, I got a favor regarding the shared account. I closed it all down because Doge was on my ass. So anyway, there's been a bit of a misunderstanding on the part of JK. That guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what triggers you or when. So I understand you're worried about your stream getting shut down because threats of bodily harm, terrorism. That first offense, Johnny. Restore his mod, and I'll consider it a favor. But if you turn me down, that's what James Gandolfini said. Let him burn. But I have to make the pass just to show to myself that maybe, and just maybe, I'm not a pussy ass bitch. Even if you tell me no, I'll be like Sil, like, hey, Tone, come on. Oh, you decided? That's fine. I think you wanted to help him and he didn't pay attention. I understand this. But remember when you were young and stupid and you took a break from all that gaming and you just wanted to be passive? And then you got that urge to rule again? It's like that. I'm going to treat this like, you're Tony Soprano and I'm part of the New York mob. I forgot the guy. You know, I mean, technically, he's your guy. If I have to take care of him, I want to talk to you first. You know that episode? I know where he lives. Sorry. If he's going to be a problem to the shared account, nice knowing him. He's a nice guy. And you can make all these come town jokes on the beach or behind bars. If he's unreliable and you can't handle it, and I can, well, I like the guy, Korean. He made a bunch of funny jokes. Park Slope is my cousin. However, it's not funny behind bars or hanging from somewhere. You know what I mean? I got family. If he don't know how to shut his stupid fucking mouth up, well, something's gonna happen to him. What do you think of that? If it's a joke, it's a joke. No harm done. I thought you seriously thought he was a threat to the stream. But if you say it's a joke and he went took a nap, I believe you. No ugly trauma exposed. It was just a prank. We just having a little bit of fun. I too have a lot of fun. Yeah, the way I read it, Johnny, and no offense, in all seriousness, if he said that to me, it's like, I'm just gonna clear my head. And then I read the next thing he wrote. It's like maybe you could get your head smashed by a jumbo jet. The first thing is like, if that was my chat, I'm banning this motherfucker. It's only a slippery slope, a small step. Like, say hi to your wife for me, and then your daughter, and this and that. It's like, oh, I know how this ends. I know guys like Ben Shapiro, Jim and Aaron. It's like, America has no kings. Martin Luther King, not a real king. But when a king like Trump comes, oh, they have kings now. Yeah, I know. He'll show you lyrics, sure. It just so happens. Do you know Jews, Johnny? If you like. And then you do end up doing what they want. But, they're not culpable. I just suggested it. I didn't tell you to run people over with a car. I just decided, they're a threat. So I already yelled at JK for you. I said to him, you watch your mouth around Raptor. Anything innocent, you don't know what trauma he's gone through. You can rewind the stream. I did this. And, I said to him, I'll talk to you. But ultimately, the decision is yours. It's a joke. And you won't hear shit from me. That's all. I'm just doing this just in case it's actually serious with you. I'm on my toes around you, Brooklyn. Like, we pieced it out. I have no animosity. But, in a business thing, if an employee is disgruntled, you're going to watch him. Okay, so that's it. You decided in the chat, like, have some eye candy. It's like the bada bing. We're talking business. The girls are nice and naked. And everybody's relaxed, right? So if that's the final decision, that's the final decision. If New York and Jersey is settled, this is within your own crew, I'm out of it. I've seen Sopranos, you know? It's just out of courtesy. It's like, maybe JK's moving in and doing things behind your back, and I gotta take care of him. You know what I'm saying? And I understand I'm being monitored by law enforcement. Probably 80% of you are that too. If you're on the take, watch out. If you're corrupt, watch out. They started removing Section 8. So, isn't she pretty though? Jennifer Lawrence? You can see her face sweaty and moist. Yeah, there's an appreciation for it, but oh boy. The things you could do in a private area, let me tell you. Once she's switched on, boy, take pictures. Blah. These kind of things I just do instead of talking about things that, are very, very serious. Thank you, Seven. You can take a screenshot, show it to Sabrina later. She's like, it's so rude and sexist. Me, I used to be like very violent, and then I said to myself, I'm going to channel it to sex urges. Then I read this book, like, Outwitting the Devil, and it said, change your sex urges to something else. Now, I'm not ready to go back to a warlike mode. I'm enjoying this pervy arc of mine. I came from warlike, you know what I mean? I will. But do we have a deal? Either his demodding is permanent, or you'll remod him if he ever changes his mind. I mean, consistency is very important for a channel owner. Like you didn't ask for forgiveness. You told me the strong option. If Mendez don't unblock me, fuck him. I'm not gonna promote his channel, right? And I've learned to ignore things that trigger me. Like if you said mod me, I'd be like, yeah, that's a good idea. Too bad I can't make it happen. You can make all the 3-word commands you want. I know what happens when I make a mistake. It's like my last chance to make good with all of you. But damned if I leave. Yeah. I mean, you gotta wait a day for me to do Natalie Portman. Guys, suggest all your favorite celebs. If I'm not dead by now, and Jennifer Lawrence is powerful in the industry, it's just like that yoga chick, I'm pretty much allowed to do this because very few perverts have a pure heart. Yeah, pretty much. So, that's good. Consolidate your power. Let them stew for a day. Just so they're like, who's next on the chopping block? A lot of them will challenge you. This is like gargoyles. I used to carry a 90-pound backpack. Now I make do with a 5. It makes you more mobile. Less to worry about. That many mods means it's like you're taking too much money in. That attracts interest. The things you'll do for $1,000, let's say, or 93 extra, right? That's just me talking, Yeah, I'm only 160 and 154. The thing is, if I had to rescue one of you out of a fire, you guys are probably 300 pounds all muscle with 200 pounds of gear. I better get ready, Fucked up my back doing it too. But, that's the life of a short guy. There's ways like the firemen carry and all that. And I still got 4 hours of work to do in this fucking sunlight. Oh, wow. Chickies just brush up against me, Turns out they're real, not ghosts. I can't answer all these questions when we're being monitored, right? Let's talk about, sexy girls first. Is Natalie Portman really the sexiest woman you know in all this? I think there's some of the new ones. Like, let's say, who's that jailbait? Ortega? Somebody? Forgot her name. Something Ortega. Because other people weren't. You ever do that? Why did you climb Mount Everest? Because they said it was impossible. That's what you should do in your life. Find out the people that says that's impossible. You know, there's an old saying for among the anti-Semites: find out who rules over you, find out who you can't criticize, and what they tell you is impossible to do, and then you do it. Even if you fail, you tried something they didn't try. Every day I try to fly, sprout wings and fly. Don't do it. There's no honor in that. But me doing that for 30 minutes in a very dangerous area, knowing all the consequences, I could be tackled to the ground. You'd see a George Floyd. I didn't fail this time. I succeeded for 30 minutes, like you said. Bird-like face. That's probably why she's trying to kill me. See, Tom, you're like an older brother. The words that come out of your mouth right after I told JK, watch. You know what I mean? She could call in some favors and burn Canada, let's say. You know? France is already a shithole. 146 people got stabbed with an unknown liquid. You know, like if I was actually going for you, Tom, I would know your bike pattern, like that shit, you know. But since I talked to all my guys, no. He's like an older brother to me. All right, so I remember our little talk in Dunkin' Donuts. You said that this is like going to be a profitable. I understand all that, but we have to protect our capital investment, even at $0.00. I don't want it sinking to negative a trillion or raising to 500 million. It attracts too much attention. Zero is where I operate. You do all the hard work, and I'll just guide a little bit. I'm not on your payroll. I talk to people sometimes for you, free of charge. Quote Sopranos episodes. Can't be charged with Rico. Who can say that I'm organized? You know what I mean? Very disorganized. All right, pal. I mean, great talk. Flex on them a little bit, If JK is still in the chat, you got to understand, a little punishment goes a long way. You being gray for a day or a week, it'll be good for you. Builds character. How about like hobnob with the grays, the plebes? Like, how are we doing? Is Johnny a jackass? And then you gather all the responses when he's not there and you report to him. Basic spy information. You don't have to listen to me. Good for you, Seven. I like to see collaboration, and so does Johnny. I collaborate with him. He's mentioned something about the shared account. At first, it was a riff like, okay, I'll run with it. Then I discovered we actually have a shared account. you know, God works in mysterious ways. As soon as I discovered that fucking shared account, I had to shut it down before Doge would tap into it. I'll reopen it a little bit later. Be careful with your riffs. It's like, there's no group like Hamas. Well, there is now. I know, older brother. You gotta be like the front man. Usually it's her. But you gotta leverage your age. I'm old. What the fuck are you all talking about? I'm a bike guy. I don't know nothing about shared accounts or corruption or high-level bribery. I'm just a guy in a bike shop. The fuck you hassling me for? You bunch of stupid Mounties? Go back and kiss your horse for me. And your mom too. She looks like a horse-faced cunt. Shit like that. I mean, there's all due respect. You were born like near Hitler. He didn't kill you and I won't. How could I? I'm the most harmless guy. That's the only reason I could get that close to that yoga teacher. There was a very sharp-faced thing, and if you look at my recent short, it highlights her watching that side. It's like access only, you know. Don't call me that because two real ends already called me that. And on X, I seen people like, let's say rednecks, pardon the usage. It's like I'm going to the 7-Eleven and he happens to have a gun in his back pocket. The hoodlums would just like sidle up and shoot you with your own gun. And the guy says, "Don't do me like that. Hey yo, hey yo." Sure, he talked the talk, but the walk, he's on the floor. Yeah. Consider this like basically you're in protective custody. This talk, I'm used to protective custody. Johnny doesn't mod me. I gather information, but instead of finding all your weaknesses, I try to build you up with your strengths. You know what I mean? I talked for you, but if you can convince Johnny after a day, after a week to restore your mod, he's gonna have a few assignments for you to do. Your first thing is to say no. You don't have a choice. He has footage of you fucking with him, just like the Jews. He's gonna offer you a contract, no money, just favors. Yeah, read a good book like The 48 Laws of Power, Sun Tzu's Art of War, you know, Quark Express manual in 10 days. Something to increase your mind. So you're not always talking about your bad back or how much you like Celsius. I mean, it's interesting in the clinical sense, but you got to be a conversationalist. That I mean, I'm not one, but it sure would be nice. you know. And if you're too abrasive, Sabrina has some power or some evidence against Johnny. That's fine. Like all things fade. It's gonna become irrelevant in a week, month, a year, whatever. I'm just observing her. You know. I tried to see how she reacts to a little insult. She overreacts, like my wife. You know. And I realized maybe all this talk that she is a man, she's probably a woman. No entity overreacts that much unless she got pussy. I don't know. Initially, I thought she was a man trolling all of us. Then I saw the overreaction. It was like, and then I saw my wife's overreaction yesterday. I was like, man, I feel like a fucking heel. So that's how women attack you. Huh? This too shall pass. Very good. Very wise, JK. Now, if I had any say in the bust at all, I think he's shown enough repentance that he's under probation, but the next time he fucks up, he's gone. That's all I say. Suggestion. You know. Of course, better policies do exist. I know in my fiesta in America, there are people who stole the Rolex for my mom. You don't see them working there no more. There are people who steal knives. They get run over by 3 trucks. Real damn shame, Filipinos. Just having accidents all over. I had nothing to do with it. They should be more careful in how they walk, you know. Karma. That's what I say. All right. I'm just kidding. God. Brooklyn's so, you do know I'm Broadway now, you know? Somebody else wanted to be, it was JK. He wanted to be Lexington. It's like Lexington's a fucking bumbling idiot.